Okay, this is part 14, and it's the last paragraph of Federalist number 1. Let me read it to you. It may perhaps be thought superfluous to offer arguments to prove the utility of the Union, a point no doubt deeply engraved on the hearts of the great body of the people in every state, and one which it may be imagined has no adversaries. But the fact is that we already hear it whispered in the private circles of those who oppose the new Constitution that the 13 states are of too great extent for any general system, and that we must of necessity resort to separate confederacies of distinct portions of the whole. This doctrine will in all probability be gradually propagated till it has votaries enough to countenance an open avowal of it. For nothing can be more evident to those who are able to take an enlarged view of the subject than the alternative of an adoption of the new Constitution or a dismemberment of the Union. It will therefore be of use to begin by examining the advantages of that union, the certain evils and probable dangers to which every state will be exposed from its dissolution. This shall accordingly constitute the subject of my next address. Okay, he says, we know that in the heart of a lot of people in all the states, there's a lot of people who love this land, who love the idea of uniting. But he says we are hearing from the critics, those who criticize us, that this land, all the 13 states, are too big to form a republic out of, to form a union. You cannot establish a republic in such a vast area. Now, look at the map and compare this area with Europe, and you'll see that even United States, even with the 13 original states, it covers a large area compared to Europe. And at this time, one of the people that were extremely influential, one of the thinkers that was extremely influential with the Americans, was the French guy named Montesquieu. And he'd written a book called Spirit of the Laws. And they the Federalists refer to this book pretty much more than any other book in these 85 essays. And Montesquieu said, looking at having studied history and comparative history, comparing different countries' histories, different cultures that they have, he had mentioned in his influential book, Spirit of the Laws, that a republic can be established only in a small place, a small area. And here, Federalist Publius says that the critics keep on mentioning his name and saying he says that the republic is going to be established in a small place. So maybe they'll start convincing people that it is better for us to make separate confederacies. Let's say make 3 or 4 confederations out of these 13 states rather than one union. So he is already letting people know that the critics, some of the critics are ambitious. They know that they might be able to break 2 or 3 states, make a separate confederacy out of it. And Publius says, Hamilton here, Federalist, says, it is crazy, because if we make several confederacies out of this, then we'll still be played with by the European powers, because we won't be as powerful. What they will do, let's say if Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, these states that had a lot of enslaved people, let's say if they formed a confederacy, before you know it, the British, the Spanish, the French will start encouraging them to become enemies of the other confederacies. They will find their weaknesses and they will take advantage of it. So here, Publius Hamilton says you should not fall for that. You should not let them cheat you and say, just because Montesquieu says that, we cannot create a federal union, a vast federal union. So as we go forward, one of the most important Federalists, Federalist number 10, talks about this, and we will see what kind of solution James Madison gives in that Federalist. Now, our project, the project I'm working here with you, is that I am saying, just like we could start with 13 states and become 50 states, have a United States that is composed of 50 states, with the same idea in mind, we can create a union of all the countries of the world. Now, I'm not saying we can do this in 1 generation or 2 generations. I'm saying that we can do that in 3 to 5 generations. I am saying that we can adopt a common language, I'm not saying get rid of our first language at all. I'm saying adopt a common language. One of the main reasons that I translated the Federalist Papers into Farsi was to let people know that I'm encouraging the keeping of first and second languages. I'm just saying we should adopt a common language for humanity and gradually work our way to a point where we can learn from the history of the world, learn from the history of the countries that are united under a federal form of government, learn from history of Europe, what they've gone through, and how they're trying to unite, and come up with a plan for all the nations of the world to unite. I know it is hard for some people to believe that right now. They believe that it is doable. But like I said in one of the other videos, it can be done. We don't have the disadvantage of distance like we used to. For them, for somebody in one of these states to go from one place to another, just 50 miles, using a stagecoach or something like a stagecoach, it would take them 15 hours in a good day when the weather was nice. 15 hours to go 50 miles. Our world has changed and we can be in touch with more people. We don't have some of the disadvantages that they had 200 years ago, even 50 years ago. Now anyone can see how other people live. A lot of people travel, they're familiar with what's going on in the countries around them. We'll gradually get to a point where we will see one another as brothers and sisters, as people of the same family. I believe this union can be done with imagination and clear heart and reasonable mind. We can do it. We need the spirit of the laws, yes, but most importantly, we need the spirit of humanity, spirit of brotherhood strengthened in us.